Well, it's the time for the Friday Love and Learn. So, it's got to be Friday. And I'm so excited to be here on this Friday. I was talking before we even went live just about Monday, a little sluggish, not going to lie. Time change, bad weather, not feeling it. Tuesday, same. Here we are on a Friday, ready to have just a great conversation and a little bit of sun in our world, which is fantastic. So grateful to Ebony McKiver of the Department of Education here in Nebraska, along with Lori Broady of ESU 4 and Kristen Vest of NDE as well for joining us on this Friday. And thanks. We already have, first time ever, I'm gonna give some credit to Jason, a comment before the show started. Jason, thanks for joining us. Glad you're here. And anyone else that would like to respond in the comments, we welcome you to do that. We can feel like you're a part of this conversation as well, as Ben's doing too. So, yep. Shout out to the ESU4 fam. And we are meeting in this space on a regular basis each and every week so that we can just have some good vibes, reflect on our week, showcase the great work that's being done across the state in education, and really just connect. And it's just been invigorating, and I always really look forward to these opportunities to reflect. And so we are going to get right to it, starting off with the love for this week. What did you love? Tell us a little bit about it, starting with Ebony.
First, I want to say I love the lighting that's in this room, because the glow that I have right now, I just think usually I can't catch enough good light. It's really hard. So I need everybody to love the lighting, the glow that's going on right now too. Thank you. But I was going to say, there was so much thought that I had around this love part of it. And so I will say this week I have actually loved to love my job, or I've learned to love my job more, just because of everything that it is. You think walking in social studies and you'll just be doing social studies stuff, but that is so completely far off from everything that I get to do. And so earlier this week, I got to talk on a panel about COVID and racial disparities. We get to plan professional development. I get to be a part of so many things that I never would have envisioned. I get to be a part of legislation and helping to craft bills and amendments and all those kind of things. And as the social studies and history kind of geek and nerd, who would have ever thought that I would get to do this? So I think the Nebraska Department of Education may actually be stuck with me forever, because I just every day I wake up and I'm like, ooh, what do I get to do next? So yeah, I learned to love my job more this week.
Oh, that's super great. Yeah, I could echo some of that too, Ebony. Being new to the job, you're like, well, here's what I read in the description when I signed up for this. I do that sometimes, but I also love doing all, and I'm not complaining that either. It's kind of fun.
No, and I said I'll talk to Dr. Epler all the time, and I say, if I would have saw everything that was a part of this job in the job description, maybe I would not have applied. But now that I'm here, I can't think of anything better. And I also have to say, at the heart of it, every day I get to help kids, help students, and help teachers be better teachers. And so what better job I think can there be than this right now? So I don't know.
Yeah, I say it almost on a weekly on here, but it is amazing to me, just because I'm not from Nebraska and I'd really just stayed within my district, that as I get a chance to kind of meet folks from across the state, I'm like, well, this person's awesome. That person's incredible. They're doing terrific work. And it blows my mind all the time. Just all great professionals that are out there just doing awesome things on behalf of schools, teachers, kiddos. And Lori Broady, no exception to that list. So I'll pivot. There's my transition.
Yes.
And Lori, what was your love from this week?
So this is going to sound really corny, but I love my ESU4 people. I don't know if every ESU4 is or ESU is like my ESU, but when I have a rotten day, and I have some rotten days, they continue to lift me up. They show the love like nobody else. We have dance parties in the office. We've not had one this week. The office next to me, her name is Jody. he has already got the song list planned. So we do dance parties.
Wait, Lori, give me one song that's on this list is planned. I'm curious.
I don't know what it's like. It's all about that bass, All I know is when that song comes on, you better show up in Jody's office with some bass.
So you all are Meghan Trainor fans?
No, yeah. Okay, so I got to tell, because I know Ben Hannica's watching right now. If you ever see Ben Hannica, I want you to ask him to show his dance move, because it is not. And Ben Madison, it's shameful. It's pathetic. No one should see Jen and her dance move. Jen, don't even try.
So there's been so apparently there's video footage of these moves.
Yeah, I have it. It's being held for blackmail at this point. Yes.
So I will also say, like, the ESU4, you all sound like my people, because I cannot dance at all. So so can we have like a special dance party for when I finally get down to ESU4, and then I can feel comfortable dancing with other people who also cannot dance. So
I don't know, Kristen, are you a dancer? I don't know. Do you want to join in?
I've got some pretty sweet moves, but I try to keep them, like within. They're inside of me. They're just not outside of me.
We're gonna have to have like a live stream dance party at some point, and just invite. There'll be all these little windows of everybody just sitting down. That'd be really fun.
Yeah, like my best move is the Running Man from like 1993. That's what I got. I'm an expert running manner, but anything after that. And I got a little, the sprinkler action going on.
Right.
But
shopping cart.
Lawnmower.
Yep.
I just want to hear you say running manner again. Like that. That might be the phrase that pays. Like.
Yes, Kristen, hang out with me enough time. I will make up words and, pass them off as being real.
Yeah, I love it.
Oh my goodness. Well, that's fun. Yeah, who couldn't love that for sure. Oh, Kristen, what was your love from this past week?
So beyond that, just what happened, my love, so one of the best parts of my job that I think was probably the reminder of why, right? We got to connect with some teachers at ESU 7 earlier this week, and they were in person, in a workshop, in person. And so to hear the pre-workshop banter from teachers is something that I love and I've desperately missed, because you just don't get that kind of banter on Zoom. But on that very same day, I got to present to a night class at Wayne State College to future family and consumer sciences and skilled and technical sciences teachers. And that was this big love, because you're getting to connect with future teachers and answer their questions. And we did this big overview to the Nebraska State Plan and Perkins and all these things that are going on. And they at least pretended that they were interested, but more importantly, they asked such great questions, and they were like, this is something I'm going to use. And I'm like, okay, but I hope so. Because it was so great to connect with them and see them. It was a big love.
Did you have and not that you have to recount the exact question, but sometimes in talking to the pre-service teachers, they ask those questions that you maybe have long forgotten about, or ones that you're like, oh yeah, that is a thing. Yeah, just because, I don't know, that's probably another way of saying what I said before, but did you find that a little bit?
So there's these questions about stuff that come up, especially with CTE teachers. They're like, so do you think that we'll have, I don't know, XYZ, equipment or something? And so those are things that if you kind of forget that there's so many unknowns. When you've been in classrooms, right? You kind of know what's there and what's available, and they've not been in their own classroom yet to really know, what kinds of things are available or what kinds of questions to ask. And so we're always like, well, ask. Like, someone in your school is going to know what it is that you need and how you need to get it. And so I think those are the questions that we forget about, like, oh, right, yeah, you wouldn't know this.
Well, yeah, because I would imagine like district to district and school building to school building, even the resources available have to be fairly different. And so what you had available to you as a student teacher might not be the same things you have. And I think it goes across disciplines, but particularly CTE. We can probably do a quick plug and on behalf of the entire CTE crew, because I was actually talking with Sydney Cobes about this, and it'll be on a podcast next week, for the revision grant. Do you want to take 2 seconds and just sort of let people know that that's out there? Because that sounds like an awesome opportunity to, if you don't have the things you need to be awesome in that space, as awesome as you could be, is what I should say.
Absolutely.
Raise that ceiling maybe with a little support.
Yeah, you know, there's so many times, right, that we get to engage in conversations with school districts that are like big ideas. Like, what could it be if? And here's what we could do. And certainly with the revision process from last spring, where schools took this deep dive and they're like, where are some gaps? Where are some things we need to gain? What could we do? So this puts the dollars to the what could we do. And so there's a great amount of funding. I think it's close to $1 million that's available for school districts to be able to apply for and take advantage of. So really exciting.
That's super cool. Yeah, and I was grateful to Sydney Cobes too for meeting with me. And like I said, we're going to release that probably on Monday. Podcast is going to go into a little bit deeper dive on things. So she's a friend from back in our teacher days, and so it was so fun to catch up with her. I'll get to my love for this week, and I'm actually going to bring up Debbie's comment. I've been saving it here. Loving March and some March Madness, which starts today. Well, I guess kind of the official, right? Like, is going to be kicking off here shortly. And that's it for me. Yeah, I love March. Whenever I first was teaching and actually was in Kansas, we always got spring break the same week, and it was St. Patrick's Day, first weekend of the tournament, and hopefully some really nice weather. And I love this time for that, and all that was lost last year, and so I didn't get a chance to like really just appreciate all of those great things. And so really my love for this week was getting a chance to wear my green I Heart Public Schools shirt to work the other day, to have some corned beef and cabbage, which is like a once or twice a year meal for me, for the tournament to get started. And I'm also really just energized that next week I head to the NERCSA conference, and that's going to be in person. Now, I've already gotten round one of my shot and we're masked up for that and take all the necessary health precautions and follow the guidelines. But wow, to be around people again. Like, can't wait.
Yeah, and I have to do a quick shout out because you mentioned March Madness, and so my alma mater, Cleveland State University, made it in this year. So they're playing Houston tonight at 6:15. So you know where I will be, probably watching my team get destroyed. But we're going to put good vibes out there that my Cleveland State University will be the Cinderella team this year. So
no, I'm really upset on that one. Actually, my son picked that, and he doesn't know much about, so he just picked whatever name sounded the most fun.
Yes, we got Colgate going all the way.
There you go. I'll throw a rock chalk out there for my alma mater. And, we'll check it all out here later on as the weekend plays out. So absolutely loving that. The other thing about our weeks is that we get to learn a lot too, which is really great. And sometimes it's hard to differentiate that love from that learn, because the learn is so near and dear to our hearts. But Ebony, what's something that you learned this week that really stood out to you?
So my learn is a personal learn. I actually learned, yes, it's a relearning. It's something you're reminded of often, but that our children really do display the values and the character that you've instilled in them in a young age. And so this week I really got to see it play out. And so like my son has gone back to school. He wants to do HVAC. I have a daughter who, loves culinary and cooking. And so she's showing that love for it. And so like one of the things that I always would talk to the kids about when they were younger is making sure that you do things that you love. And so this this week I was really able to see like the kids are doing things that they love. And so just going back to know that when I spoke to them at the young age, they were listening, even though I didn't think they were listening. And through some of these teenage years when they like veer off track and, you know, they do a complete left turn, U-turn, you know, they're, yeah, they found a plane and now they're like flying, like, but they always come back to the you know, to the center and really to what we've, you know, tried to instill at a young age. And so I'm learning that. I see that through, you know, as my kids kind of grow older, that they're all coming back to a good place. So it makes a mom's heart happy.
I love that you just like did a shameless CTE promotion with that sharing too, right? Like find what you love and do it.
And
it's
do
called
it,
Career
yep.
Technical Education, friends. So I love it.
Yes, see, I'm working here. I'm gonna connect this all.
Good.
And then at the
Good.
end I will drop, you know, my not so subtle brag of Lori and how I think she's the most amazing person in Nebraska, but we'll get to that later.
We're all going to pay her with coffee.
Yeah. Because you know I love my coffee.
True. Well, some comments coming in here. Jen was surprised that you have older kids because you look so youthful, friend.
Jen, I have a child that will be 22 this year. So, yes. So I always like to talk about how my story of, because I was a teenage mother. And so like the ability, one, to be able to rely on family for help, and that I had family who was there to be able to help. And I had my first kid at 19. And so, you know, my parents were really very helpful in the sense that they were watching the kids for me and allowed me to go back to school. Now, I won't talk about the insane amount of student loan debt that I have, but I also, you know, want to just be encouragement to say, like, kids at 19, your life is not over. You can still pursue your dreams and goals. We just have to figure out how we can help, you know, our younger parents get there. And so I was very blessed and I'm very grateful. And yes, I have grown kids. I have 7 between the ages of 11 and soon to be 22.
Woo.
No. Yeah.
Gosh. Well, and here's so much of what you said that resonated with me too, with the like regards to the fact that, yeah, when you have kids, you do have to kind of realize that you're going to need to reach out and ask other people for help, whether you're in the habit of doing that or not. Kind of was it not? And I totally get the village. And that's actually an idea, and this is totally a little bit of a bird walk, but it's an idea I've had a lot. My mom was out last weekend and we were talking about just community and what it takes for a community to come around a kid and raise and bring them along. And so much of, I think, the modern pace of life kind of gets rid of that community, and the schools like are feeling the responsibility that comes with it not being as prevalent on a day-to-day. And I'm making some generalizations in saying that, but I feel like as an educator, I feel that sometimes. And it's awesome. Anytime I hear people like, yeah, and you know, grandparents are helping out and the neighbors take the kids here and there. So I'm like, I love that. Like, I hope for more of that in my own life moving forward, and excited when I hear that in others.
Yeah, and I think like for me this week, the theme of social connectedness has come up a lot. And so you know, like you were saying, the community and the ability to be able to connect and have that village and to be able to share. And so, you know, I think that's part of the reason why I got into teaching too, because I wanted to be the village for students. So, you know, if you didn't have a home village or a close relationship with your family, then I wanted to, you know, be the person to build that relationship with students too, and say, you know, we're not related by blood, but I am your family, and I am, you know, willing to do whatever I can do to help you and make sure that you're successful. So
a big enthusiastic agreement to that. You know, so many times you think about the roles that teachers fill, and as a former family and consumer sciences teacher, you know, kids are coming in all the time. Like, can you fix this? Do you have a button? Do you have shout wipes? Do you have like a snack? I mean, just seriously, like you become like this mom at school that's fulfilling all these different roles. School nurses, I know, also kind of carry that. But it's such an important point, Ebony, to think about the different influences and supports and just so many different things.
So true, so true. Well, from Ebony looking amazing, and Lori being amazing, and Kristen being amazing. Lori, tell us about your learn from this week.
All right. Well, I had lots of learns. But the book, I'm going to talk about the book I'm currently listening to. I'm going to plug the Sora app. If you have not been using the Sora app, because it is super cool. I listen to a lot of the audiobooks. I've used the others as well, but the audiobooks, I have a longer commute. And so the book I'm listening to is called The Art of Gathering. I always say it wrong, so I wrote it down. The Art of Gathering, How We Meet and Why It Matters by Priva Parker. And the thing I like about it is, as a PD person, that's why I initially wanted to know, how to make my presentations better when I've got this group of people. Hopefully we'll be back in person soon. And so I wanted to think about the different parts of gathering. But it's actually been really insightful to me in other aspects as well. And one of the first chapters talks about the why. And so I used that on people this week. It's about why do we do what we do? Why are we gathering? So I've used that in some personal situations. I think about that in terms of when we have meetings, can we simply do that with an email, or does it need to be in person? And so my best example I can think of is like when Ebony and I broke the rules and last fall met in Omaha, because the why was we needed to see each other face to face. I didn't know Ebony. Ebony did not know me. I needed to know Ebony because I didn't know. Could I trust this new person at NDE? Would I, we talked, but I now know after meeting her face to face, the why was, I think we are bonded. I think we do great things together. And that whole idea of we're stronger together is because we met face to face. And so we created that bond that I don't think, although Zoom is nice, I don't think we can always do that. So that's my learn.
Yes, I agree. I was going to say, I think the part of the reason I think the world of Lori is that reason. Like, we were able to meet face to face, and like I got to know who Lori is, not just as the ESU for social studies person, but I get to know about her family and her loves and her likes, and we laughed and enjoyed the weather, and so that connection was so, I think, just very important and vital for our relationship as colleagues. But I will say to y'all a million times, when I need something or I have a question, Lori is the first person that gets an email, a text, phone call from me. So yeah, that it does wonders. So, and I also say that to say I can't wait until we all get to meet in person. I will say, starting a job during a pandemic where your job is to be social and to meet people, and it's very hard to build those relationships by Zoom. So I appreciate Lori for allowing us to break the rules.
Gosh, I want to have like a little emoji button so I can do that.
We were social. We were safe. We stayed our social distance. We had masks. Ebony drank a lot of coffee. It was an appropriate gathering. So.
It was.
Oh, that's great. And a couple of comments coming in here too. So Ellen sending some ESU4 love as well. We've had her on the Love and Learn also. And so hope to see her there again. Debbie sharing a little bit about yesterday's SDA Book Bites chat. I got a chance to take part in that as well and learn, and so grateful to Shirley Vargas and to Lane Carr for their leadership in that space. And just really, that's been, a great learning opportunity, one that I've referenced on here before as something that really spoke to me throughout the week. And so, Kristen, what is and I would invite people to continue to add your learns. We love hearing about the work that's going on across the state. Kristen, what was your learn from this week?
I learned that I can work from home for an entire year. And so we marked that on Wednesday. And, there's been times that it's been like, I don't know that I can do this for another minute. I'm a teacher. I'm in a role, like Ebony said, you're connecting with others, and certainly like travel's a part of our role and connecting with people. And so there's so many times where it was like, oh my gosh, I don't know that I can be in one more Zoom meeting because I'm just tapped, I'm just fried. And I know that's so very different for teachers, for what they're doing and have been doing. And this just sounds like I'm whining, right? I've been from my house for a year. However, I've learned that I can do it. And I've found so many silver linings within that opportunity to work from home. And so I've kind of marked this year being really reflective and these different opportunities that we're continuing to still provide support and technical support and encouragement and all these different things for teachers and for our students that are involved in our career and technical student organizations. And so I'm rereading a book that I talk about all the time, Brene Brown. So leave it to the person who's responsible for human sciences to talk about a social worker. However, her book, Gifts of Imperfection, has been just like speaking to me multiple times in the last week or two. And certainly, I think she's got a quote that is, you learn courage by couraging. It's a practice. You got to do it. And so I've thought about so many times when it's been like, Kristen, hey, what do you think about this? Or what's the answer to this within the last year? I don't know. However, we figure it out. We create a response. We do the best we can. Teachers have been doing it. People who support teachers and students have been doing it. And so it's a practice. And so we've been encouraging so much this past year. And so I think that's my big learn. And that's something that's keeping me going when someone says, hey, you want to meet on Zoom? Yes.
And one thing I add with that, and it kind of goes with some other folks have said, the idea of the pandemic, though, has opened us up to gathering virtually in a way we haven't before. And so one of the biggest things that I've taken away this year has been Lane and Shirley's work. And it has brought a group of us, it's a small group, but there's a group of us from all over the state, from every corner, where we talk about that work. And it gives us an opportunity to really dive deep, because you know what? Unfortunately, a lot of us come from very rural communities that are just white people. And so to talk about the work that Lane and Shirley are doing, we have to process that. It's not always easy for us. And so you mentioned Brene Brown, her podcast with Emmanuel Acho. Wow. That has been, I'm using that actually as I go, I'm creating the same small group with teachers in ESU 4. I've got 4 people that we're going to meet together, and we're going to start with uncomfortable conversations with a Black man, because it's time. It's time. And Zoom allows us to do that where otherwise I couldn't have had that opportunity.
And I will also say with that, that's part of the reason why I'm very excited to get to travel the state, because I now get to be in communities where they don't see an Ebony McKiver, and that is perfectly okay. And let's start having those conversations, and let's, talk to each other in ways that we haven't talked to each other before. And so, I think that to me is exciting. It's also a little scary. I'm a little nervous. Just going out, and I'm nervous anyway. I was even nervous to do this. So, but I think it will be great, and it will allow for us to, open up spaces and doors and communication. And two, Kristen, I just wanted to give you a shout out because I gave Lori one about how great she is. I think during this time of the pandemic, your support, on Twitter and resharing resources with the CTE team, and and there are things that you find applicable. I just really appreciate you for that too, and so we're able to spread the message as well. So you're super dope.
Thank you.
That's awesome. I have my learn, but I will say, building off of Kristen's point, I think all of us hopefully can take a moment over the weekend or just as soon as possible as well, I'll recommend, to recognize how much we've grown over the course of the past year, despite, I'm going to get choked up talking about it, but despite everything that's gone on. And I had the good fortune recently to work with teachers, and the admin said to me, well, how are you going to talk to this crew? Because they're over it. And I'm like, yeah, they should be over it. But, and that's really the note we started on, was to say, like, okay, tell me all the ways that you've grown in the last year. And like, people were like, and they kind of picked their head up and had one. And they're like, yeah, me too. And then all of a sudden that list became like 15 things. And you saw like the pride that came with acknowledging that growth. But I think when you have your head down and you're like doing the daily grind of things, it's hard to see that. So I just really like poured into that and want to encourage folks to like, yes, it's not been through the circumstance you wanted to learn those lessons through, but like, be proud of yourself, be proud of those efforts you've made, and then be intentional with that also, and it doesn't have to mean that you're going to change your practices now that maybe you're in person, or it's still, and all the awkwardness that comes with that, but like, look to maybe August, right? Like, how is what you now have in your backpack going to just make a better version of what you're able to bring to how you do your best in serving kids once we get to that new school year of next year? And that was energizing. And so I hear that in what you're saying, Kristen, is that it's like, it's so uplifting to sort of go, yeah, like, all right, I did this.
Right.
And I picked up a lot of good lessons along the way. And wow, does the future look bright when you really think about all the different conversations like Lori and Ebony were talking about that are happening, and the potential that has to grow as we get in person a little bit more. So I'm getting on a little roll here, but I'm feeling it.
It's good.
Feel it.
Good stuff. And my learn really kind of follows up on last week's, in that we're getting an opportunity to go through this ISTE General Motors collaboration to help. There's like these cohort groups onboarding educators to artificial intelligence and what that can play as like in education, like what's out there and what does it look like to kind of merge some of those pieces. I think that stuff's fascinating, and I kind of like walking that line between pedagogy and tech, but like, this is something that's just so foreign to me, and it's like one part scary, one part incredible. And it has been really interesting to think about that. And VR is something I'm like, someone was nice enough to say they're going to lend me an Oculus for a while, so I'm going to see what
cool
experiences are on there, because I think this thought of running simulations. So let's go through like what Kristen's talking about, right? What does it look like to, if I can't afford the resources, maybe to have some place where for a station in non-pandemic times, you could go over and actually tinker and build and create and at least run the process of doing something, but just in a different space. And so I've been learning a lot about what all this future tech potential might hold down the line. And I think that's really intriguing. The Prairie STEM group out of Omaha too has done a lot with STEM and STEAM kits and clubs and after school programs that my kids have been a part of. And so part of my learning this week was through that group. I got a chance to chat with them. They're going to have this really cool expo that's going on at the Space and Air Museum that's kind of on Lincoln, like a robotics expo, April 10th. So it's cool. It's cool to see, like, not only I'm learning about that from the ISTE and kind of this like corporate level, and I'm also like tinkering with that in my own home, and I'm seeing it come home in my own kiddos' education. Things are moving and changing, and it's kind of fascinating.
Yeah.
So that said, Ellen, thank you. Yep, I'm ready. Let's move things forward. And I think that's about what we got going through here. Well, I just wanted to honor all the comments as we get to it, but so great to check out with everybody, to catch up. This is always a joy because as you're talking about, just connecting with people informally, and then also like sharing the weight of the moment a little bit and saying like, but we're all still doing it.
Absolutely. Really quickly, your conversation about STEM and STEAM. So recently we've gotten into watching BattleBots in my house. But in watching it, like you hear the conversation the children are having about, physics and they don't know that it's physics, but they're talking about looking at these two bots competing against each other and who will win just based off the build of the robots. So it's definitely sort of cool when you get to see how we can put that in classrooms. So yeah.
Oh, and it's, you know what, and we have a capacity for this too. My son will turn 7 in not, I know his age, but it's like 9 days. 9 days. Yep, 9 days from now. I was trying to do the math on that. And he loves that Lego Boost. If you've not checked that out, where you can kind of get this whole kit and build out a robot. But then he tore it apart and then turned it into a cat and tore that apart into a guitar. And it all kind of plays on those same concepts where he's got an iPad, he can program it in, and so he can, make that robot go around our kitchen and take different turns and say things on command and respond to different triggers that he says verbally or by waving his hand in front of him. And he's 6.
Yeah.
Look out, that's real. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it gets back to the point that you and Kristen made too, of this idea of, what we've learned in the last year. I don't think we give ourselves enough credit, and even like our students, for being able to, manage technology and troubleshoot and learn how to work Zoom and all these different platforms. Like that in itself is learning. So, maybe our children in the 4th grade didn't get as much Nebraska history as they were supposed to, but all the other things that they've learned that will take them far into the future is, I think a win too.
Absolutely. Shared experiences, right? Like, what other time, there's obviously been times, but the shared experiences and Lori, you made such a great comment about like the concept of growth. And so like, that's something too, that taking that pause, taking that time to reflect and just think about some of those shared experiences and then your own personal growth also.
Yeah, and that agency piece is something I was always like, you had to be responsible for showing up, doing your work, checking to make sure that it was okay because your teacher couldn't look over your shoulder. I think some of those experiences too, teach you something that it's hard to necessarily put a number to, but I think will have pay some dividends, and really excited for all that. So Jen McNally, let's not forget Nebraska was one of the states that in person. I was really grateful for the way that has played out in my own kiddos' experience. So that said, so much fun. This is really great. So Ebony, Lori,
thank
you. Love having you on today to share. We look forward to seeing everybody next week. Once again, I actually might be doing this from the road. It's just like, I'm just not realizing that. I might be like, we'll be live from Kearney next week. Crazy. So,
we all need a good road trip to Kearney.
Yeah, there we go.
What's in Kearney? I'm the person that doesn't know.
Most NDE meetings, man.
Okay.
I heard a lot of good food. That's what I heard.
Great food and great people, because your people are there. Your people are there.
Yes. And
I don't care what hotel you're in, it's a great time.
All right. Well, yes, road trip to Kearney then. And I had to learn it because I was pronouncing it Kearney, and that's not right. And then so
she also showed up
Kearney High Bearcat.
Yeah, she showed up on a Saturday morning, something we did, not wearing Husker football red.
Yes. I didn't know.
Girl, look, I don't care. On football days, she will not be
Yeah, I appreciated that you told me too, because everybody else out here were letting me walk around look crazy without my Husker red on Saturdays. So I've now since learned my lesson.
I'm not the only one, because I was going to, I forget where I was at, but I drove past Neely and I was like, oh, Nile.
Yeah.
That's not, wait a minute. And I had this whole internal like thing that I was going through.
Like, I think there's also one, is it Louisville?
Oh, yeah.
Or, yeah. And I was like, oh, there's a Louisville here. No, no, no. Be clear, it is Louisville.
Oh, new people problem. But that's good. That's good stuff. Well, I'm so grateful, like I said, to the three of you, to everyone that's tuning in from across the state, being a part of these on Fridays. It's really just so great to connect. So thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you next Friday.
Bye. Thank you.